Hi, welcome to this video of touch on the Asus EP121 tablet PC. Windows is often regarded as not very good for touchscreen devices since it's a desktop operating system that's about 25 years old and was originally designed for keyboards and mice. And unlike the iPad and Android devices, it wasn't designed from the ground up to work on a touchscreen. However, Windows does contain Surface technology, the same technology that you may have seen in videos or even live that power those desktop displays and wall panels. Now, the issue with that technology, however, is that it does tend to require a bit of horsepower to run well. And most of the consumer-oriented slates that have come out that are Windows-based over the last year use Atom processors. And while that's good for battery life for Windows, it's bad for the performance side of it. The EP121 contains an Intel i5 processor, which is considerably more powerful and gives you a good enough amount of power to actually drive Surface technology pretty well. So a lot of things that don't work smoothly on Atom-based machines will work pretty well on the EP121. And the large screen also helps with giving you enough real estate to touch things as well. A lot of times the issues with touch in Windows are simply that the elements and components are just too small to touch very easily. With the bigger screen, a lot of that tends to be alleviated. Now, this device has a clean install of Windows 7 Ultimate, and so it's set up and configured differently than an EP121 will be out of the box. For instance, the EP121 actually is set for a higher DPI at 125%. I have this set for the normal 100% DPI. And so what I'm going to demonstrate here might be even easier in some cases on the out-of-the-box configuration, but you'll get the general feel of it. Your experience will vary a little bit simply because this is a clean install, but overall everything should be about the same. And I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to do things that people typically do on tablet devices these days. Surf the web, read an ebook, a PDF document, play a video, show a gadget application, and we'll even look at a game. So to start off here, let's pull up IE, which I already have running. Now, IE9 has a decent amount of touch capability in it. As you can see, it does support finger panning. It even does pinch zoom, and on a lot of sites it's actually reasonably smooth. I can also use two fingers in IE9 to do an instant zoom. And also on this size of screen, you won't need to do as much zooming as you will on smaller screen devices. Usually things are big enough to be able to touch easily. If you need to zoom in with to get to a link that's hard to touch otherwise, you can use two fingers or you can pinch zoom, and you get a reasonably good experience. And of course you also get flash support, Silverlight, other plugins support that you won't normally find on mobile devices, or mobile OS based devices. Now this is Engadget, and this is a very heavy site. I did a demo of this for the HP Slate 500, and as you can see, this actually runs very well. The page loads very quickly. It's actually scrolls pretty smoothly. There's hitches in it, but you can see those hitches on powerful desktops. I see the same thing on my Core i7-980X Extreme processor, clocked at 4.2 gigahertz. So Engadget's just a heavy site, but does scroll well. The pinch zoom is kind of laggy, but once again you can do two finger tap to zoom and zoom in on things. Sometimes the page will take a while to load, and it won't allow you to scroll until the page fully loads. That's one annoyance about desktop browsers versus mobile OS browsers, which basically allow you to start scrolling immediately even before the page is fully loaded. But pages tend to load much faster in Windows, especially on this as powerful a device as this is. One thing that people do criticize Windows a lot is for specifically in terms of its touch is the keyboard. And this is the built-in keyboard. There are other options that can be better. This keyboard is so large because of the screen, however, that you can actually get decent two-finger typing or two-handed typing. It does have the text completion. I really don't like touchscreen keyboards. I normally do text input with a pen on a tablet PC. But you get the idea. I mean, you actually, when it's sitting on a flat surface like this, it's not bad for a touch screen. Not perfect. The keyboard does tend to be a lot more manual. It doesn't really engage as well as it does on an iPad. For instance, you have to you can get this to automatically pop up and change certain settings, but it just isn't quite as smooth. A lot of times you end up bringing up the keyboard manually. You can do it, actually there's a hardware button on the EP121 that will bring up the keyboard bring up the keyboard manually. But like I said, that's one of the things that doesn't work as well, but it's reasonably good. Now we're going to go and look at some documents, ebooks, PDFs. This is the Kindle Reader. And once again, one of those things where there's some legacy menus that aren't optimized for touch. The Kindle app is going to be rewritten to be more touch friendly, but by and large you don't have to really use these menus when you're just looking or just reading books. You can pretty much navigate and control everything with touch. As you can see, I can actually pull through pages. I don't have the fancy page transition effect that you'll see on mobile apps, but quite usable. It's fast. I don't have to do it that way. I can just do flicks and that'll just move the pages. Pinch zoom is actually reasonably smooth in this. Not silky smooth, but it's pretty nice. I can also orient the device in portrait mode, and that works just like it does in landscape, and I can pinch zoom as well. Now I'm going to go back and to landscape mode, and we'll look at a PDF. So I'm going to go to a site that has a link to the EP121 Owner's Manual and pull up a PDF. As you can see, once again, the finger panning and scrolling is smooth. Pinch zoom isn't even bad. Now the experience with this will depend a lot on the document. PDFs can sometimes be very, very heavy. Not everything will scroll as nicely as this. One issue with it is the bookmark and navigation controls on the left here unfortunately don't support finger panning, so you have to use the scroll bar. And that's not typically the case. Often in Windows, most things are now finger panable. For instance, the start menu will support it. I don't have to use the scroll bar, but I can if I want to. But I can use panning there, unlike this. And that's another issue with Windows, because it's an old operating system, has a lot of legacy stuff in it. Not everything is consistent, as consistent as it should be. But as you see here, though, I was able to navigate websites and pull up books, and it works reasonably well, and often it can be even faster than a mobile device because this is such a powerful device and a lot of hardware in it. Now let's look at media playback. Now this is Windows Media Center, and there's actually some finger friendliness to this application. As you can see, I can finger pan through the options here, and I want to show a movie here, so I'm going to go to the movies section. This is actually not a movie, this is a TV show. I just have it in the wrong library where I copied it from. This is the last episode of V, and I'm just going to start playing it from where I left off.
Look ahead. V is all new next on ABC.
You think your powers are better than
I'm
mine?
going to mute it. But as you can see, these controls are pretty big, especially on this size of screen, so I can mute and pause, fast forward. This is a 720p over-the-air recording. It's actually quite gorgeous. Didn't have to transcode it or anything. Fits on the device. It's about a 3.5 gigabyte file for an hour of playback. So pretty high quality recording here. And I can pretty easily control everything through touch. Now, some applications, like for instance iTunes and Zune, those applications are going to be a bit tougher to navigate with touch. They just were not designed with fingers in mind. It's possible. If you're going to use those kinds of applications, you probably might want to use the pen with the EP121, just because it's there and it's probably going to be a little simpler. But I do just want to show that indeed, when you have stuff that's ready to go, it works with the touch interface and works with the Media Center application, you have a good touch-based media playback experience. So we're going to close that out, and now we're going to go look at something that actually is very touch-friendly and kind of impressive. This is Microsoft Surface Globe, and this is sort of a clone of Google Earth. Now this is actually straight out of Microsoft Surface demos, but as you can see, this is actually very responsive. It's a very impressive application in person, actually, just because this is such a nice, large, beautiful screen. But as you can see, I'm zooming in and out, panning, quite responsive. Easily rivals anything you see on a mobile OS device. But see, this is an application that was built from the ground up with touch in mind. And that's really kind of the core issue. When you have touch-enabled applications and you have it on good hardware, Windows is not at all bad with touch. And then finally, something that you may not want to see, but at any rate, hard to resist. This just came out for the PC last month, and it's actually touch enabled and works pretty much like the iPad. In fact, it's pretty much the same kind of control. I can pan once again, I can pinch zoom, and I can launch those birds. And there's There's several decent touch-enabled applications out there, games for Windows. Most games still are keyboard and mouse oriented, which a lot of those actually will run on the EP121. But this is just an example of obviously a very popular game that works very much like it does on touchscreen other touch devices. So there you have it in a nutshell. The touch experience in Windows on this device, it can be very good. Just depends on the application. You've got a lot of performance here. Some things work very, very well, actually. And the experience can be very enjoyable. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.